What's up, everybody? What's up? What's up? What's up? How you guys doing? What I do? Hold on, y'all. Trying to be fancy, okay? I was trying to be fancy today, and I got to messed up my whole thing. Could y'all hear me? I said hi to everybody. Hey, Grace, how you doing? Hey, Nabby Child, what's up? Welcome, girl. How you doing, boo? If y'all didn't hear me the first time, say hi to everybody. I said hi to everybody. Y'all, I sent the link. Below, I did get your text. What's up, Xavier? Hey, boo. I did get your text. Your DM, and so I'll take care of that today. I've been in and out all day, and then when I got home, I've been on YouTube all afternoon. So I'm gonna do it tonight. So I'll send that out to you tonight. Below won our raffle. We had our members only live yesterday, and I did a raffle, and she won the raffle. So I have to send her gift. And from our little members only situation yesterday. So, hey Brandon, what's up, boo? So welcome, everybody. Let me start over in case y'all didn't hear me the first time. Hey, what's up, little baby? Hey, Miguel. Hey, Lauren. Yeah, Steven. Hey, Miss Trish. Nicole. Hey, C Golden. Hey, Jaded. Hey, Yana. Hey, Just Coco. Hey, Likala. Hey, Zap. Hey, Nappy Child. Hey, Grace. Xavier. Hey, Natalia. What's up, Auntie? Hey, Diva. So I think I got everybody. Hey, Brandon. So I think I got everybody that time. So welcome, you guys. I hope everybody is having a great Monday, enjoying the holiday. You know, today is supposed to be a day of service. And I'll be honest with you, I did not do anything of service today other than go and spend time with my parents and my nephew. I took him lunch. Does that count? I bought lunch for my parents and for my nephew. I don't know if that counts or not, but I did not. Normally I do, but I didn't this time. What's up, Jonathan? Hey, but I hope for those of you who did, hey, New Jones, for those of you who did go out and participate in the day of service, I hope it was a great day for you, and it made you feel good. We saw our soon-to-be vice president was out at a local food bank here in the DC area, so shouts out to her. Yeah. So let's go ahead and jump into it, honey. Let's go ahead and get into it. Today, we know, is the day that we observe Martin Luther King Jr. And I already spoke a lot over on El Teddy's channel earlier, so I feel like I'm at this point going to just kind of be repeating myself. But one thing I just want to say is, you know, I think a lot of times that helps. I mean, that counts. Well, thank you, Lauren. What's up, Keisha? Hey, boo. So oh, sorry. So, I implore everybody to really go out and research and learn. You had to work today, Miguel. Oh, that's terrible. I'm sorry. And just get past the myth that is Martin Luther King Jr. And again, there's nothing wrong with us. You still need the soaps link. Sometimes he is in here, sometimes he isn't. We'll get it. We have to figure it out. If the soap drops down, you guys, soap, if you're in here, drop down because Jada still needs your link, babe. If you're in here, drop down because Jada needs your link. Oh, thank you, Yana. Well, you know what? I feel like I'm just going to be repeating myself, but I'll go ahead and jump into it a little bit. So, Martin Luther King, Jr., I think a lot of us, I don't know if he's actually started. Okay, yeah, okay, cool. I don't know if he's actually started his channel, if he's just thinking about starting a channel. I don't know, to be honest with you. But I'll help you look for it. We'll look for it. We'll find it. We'll figure it out. So that you can, I know you got to unblock him, and I know how you are. You're going to get it done, but I don't know if he has a channel or not. You guys, does anybody know if Soap has a channel already, or if he was just thinking about starting a channel? Mm-hmm. So let's start from the beginning and work our way up. Martin Luther King Jr., first of all, I guess hope y'all know that Martin is not his born name. He was born Michael, right? His dad changed his name. I know we all know, well, we should all know that he graduated from high school at 15, got his undergrad degree at something like 18, got his PhD by the time, his doctorate, I think by the time he was 23, I think it was. Where's the PowerPoint siblings? Child, I don't have none of that. Yeah. So when we talk about the movement, again, it's not to take anything away from him. Yeah, nappy child, soap and wash. It's to take nothing away from him and what he did, but it's to show respect and deference to the movement as a whole. And I think that history does a disservice not just to the legacy of Martin Luther King, but to the movement by reducing it in such simplistic terms that he did everything, he led everything happened because of him. Now let's move on to the next chapter. Because he was a much more complex man than what we've always been led to believe. And the reason why I say I feel like it does him a disservice is because I think people look at him through a lens of nonviolence and feel as though, well, he was nonviolent. Why can't everybody else be nonviolent? Or this is what they did, but I would never do that. I hear that from my students all the time. Oh, nah, I would have to do this, and I would have to do that, and I would have to fight back, and I would have to say this. And what I wish that history would show is that Martin Luther King publicly, yes, he knew what he had to say to get what he needed to get. But privately, Martin Luther King carried a gun. Privately, Martin Luther King had bodyguards that will hurt you if some harm came to him or his family. Privately, they said Martin Luther King had so many guns hidden around his house that people had to ask before they sat down to make sure that they weren't about to sit on a gun and accidentally shoot themselves. You understand what I'm saying? And so I think that we do history a disservice when we make it seem like Martin Luther King was just meek, this meek country preacher who didn't understand the world around him and didn't understand the plight of Black people and didn't understand how Black people were being treated and beaten and why violence sometimes was okay, or at least a response. And so that's what I mean by that when I say I feel like we do his legacy a disservice when we try to make it a simplistic, oh, he was just nonviolent and that was cool. Yes, we know that Martin Luther King was not a perfect man. We know he cheated on his wife. It wasn't a perfect thing. Yes, we know, or some of us know, Martin Luther King was a smoker, which back in those days wasn't a big deal. Everybody smoked back then. But you would be hard pressed to find a picture of Martin Luther King smoking a cigarette in 2021. I've actually seen them. I've seen pictures of Martin Luther King with the cigarette in his hand. I'm sure there were pictures that people didn't want out there, but you would be hard pressed to see that, because it's that certain image that they wanted out there. I've seen pictures of Martin Luther King playing pool, and again, these are pictures that you may not see a lot of because it's all about that image and that legacy. But what's wrong with people seeing that he was a real person, that he was a human, that he had human emotions and all of these things? Like, what's wrong with people seeing that? You know what I mean? Right. He wasn't Ready Rock. He absolutely wasn't. And again, I just think we do a disservice by making it seem like it was just that simple. That he was like, oh, if somebody slapped you, turn the other cheek. Oh, we're going to be nonviolent. But what he also knew was he was patterning the movement after what Gandhi had done in India. And he saw that it worked. And that was the other thing as well. He understood the psychology of it and he saw that it worked. You know? And so that was it as well. You know, I attend a social determinants of health workshop today sponsored by the Biden Inaugural Committee, National Service. They discuss the health and disparities in the community. Okay, B-Lo, I see you. Well, Xavier, I agree. I don't think that if a man cheats on his wife, that one bad decision should define him. But I think the pedestal that he was being held to was not just because he was the leader of the movement, but because he was also a pastor. And we do hold men of God to a higher standard, which I think we should. That doesn't mean that they won't be perfect. That doesn't mean they won't be flawed and they won't fall. But I do think there should be a higher standard. If you're telling me that, you know, well, I ain't gonna go down that road because that's gonna turn into a whole thing. But I understand your point though. I saw a pic today and he looked like if y'all people don't get away. Yeah, exactly. And that's probably exactly what he was thinking. Exactly, Nicole. But that's what I'm saying, you know, but I think it will help, especially now where we're 2 or 3 generations away. I mean, 2 or 3 generations out of, you know, I mean, 1968 was a long time ago for a lot of us. And so when you have 2 or 3 generations that don't remember Martin Luther King, as far as like seeing him on the news and remember the movement, I think that it's okay for us to let people to see these people for who they really were and take away some of that shine. I mean, I do that in my history class. I think it makes people, especially kids, more receptive to hearing what you have to say if you're not trying to make it, you know, pull their leg or make it seem like, oh, this person was so perfect and they were above reproach and they never did anything wrong and they never made any mistakes. You know, I was saying earlier, you have the picture of him shooting pool? Yes, honey. Yes, I love that picture. I love that picture of him. Oh, absolutely. Oh, COINTELPRO. Listen, don't even get me started on COINTELPRO. If y'all don't know what COINTELPRO is, y'all go do some research on the FBI's program called COINTELPRO. Listen, that's a whole nother situation. But you're right about that one. But absolutely, they were afraid of him. They absolutely were afraid of him and what his potential was and what he could do. Why can't I swear? I mean. Exactly, Raphael. I agree. That's my whole point. I don't think there's anything wrong either. I think it's okay for us to understand the reality and also say, listen, he was a great leader. He wasn't a great husband, but that's okay. Because it doesn't mean nobody says he has to be perfect at everything. So yes, you can be a great leader and do some great things in your professional life. That does not mean you have it all figured out privately. Abby, I was just getting ready to text you too, Evs, because I was like, where Abby at? You know, and so I was saying earlier on El Teddy's channel, the movie Selma. I think the great thing about the movie Selma is that we don't just tell the story of Selma, but I think we also get into the flaws of these people, of these men. We see them as real people. We hear them cursing. We hear them talking about women. We hear them joking about gambling. Like and I mean, I'm not just talking about Martin Luther King. I'm talking about a lot of the leaders who are portrayed in this movie. We hear them being real people. What up, Faith? Hey, boo. We hear them being real people. And I think that we need that. we had that whole moment in the movie where we see Martin Luther King and Coretta Scott King speaking about the affair. Like, the reality is, I think it shows that not only did it happen, but they dealt with it as a married couple. Coretta wasn't no pushover. Oh, whatever he does, it's okay. Nah, she checked him on it and was like, bruh, you got me out here looking like a whole fool. Do you love her? Y'all know that's the question. What's up, King Roman? Hey, boo. That's the question. When a man cheats on his wife, ain't that always the question? Well, do you love her? At some point in time, ain't that always the question? Do you love her? It's a great movie. And again, it tells the story of Selma, but I think it also, Ava DuVernay did a great job, in my mind, of making these people human. Making these people human. We also see in the movie where Martin Luther King, and it's something that I don't know has been portrayed well. I mean, I think it's been attempted, but portrayed well in other movies. Well, you really see how heavy the burden he carried about what happened to these people who were doing what he asked them to do. People, contrary to popular belief, everybody wasn't on board with the movement. All black people didn't love Martin Luther King. All black people didn't flock when he showed up, and all black people didn't show up when he called for them to show up. Whole lot of other people showed up. And so I think it's important to see that Martin Luther King will put out calls and say, hey, I want this person to show up, and I want this person to show up, and I need you all's help. And then when something happened, like in Selma, where the rabbi, was it a rabbi or a Catholic priest, got killed, he took that burden on. He took on that burden. And so I think it's important that people see that. So yeah, if you haven't seen Selma, I suggested that be on your to-do list for I mean, you don't have to just wait till February, but I'm just saying. And watch the regular version. It might be on like BET or something. Don't watch the edited version. Watch the regular version. Go watch. I'm sure it's on Netflix and all that good stuff, because Ava has she has a thing with Netflix. I'm sure her movies are on Netflix. Go watch it. Go watch it. Because I think it did a good job of showing the showing these people being regular old people. We see John Lewis when he was in conflict between working with King and staying with SNCC. That was a conflict for John Lewis. That was real. That he had to make a decision. Because contrary to popular belief, SNCC and Martin Luther King, the SCLC, were not always on the same page. So it was a decision to say either I'm going to do this or I'm going to do that. I think so too, Bat. And you need to know your history and understand just how much the Jewish community was a part of the civil rights movement. Absolutely. Yeah. So I definitely feel like it's a worthwhile thing. And then the other thing, and we talked about this a little bit as well earlier, was how radical Martin Luther King was in his last days. I need people to understand. Me too, Bat. Me too. My niece got me a great mug that says "Getting Good Trouble," and it's got a picture of like a cartoon picture, but a picture of John Lewis. That was one of my Christmas gifts. It was really cute. The other thing is, in his last days, Martin Luther King was not a very liked person. Was not a very liked man at all. And I mean from all sides. Black people didn't like him. You had the radicals who said he wasn't radical enough. You had the traditionalists who said that he was starting to be a little too radical. You had white America who was kind of just over it. You had the politicians who didn't feel like that he had any more equity and they couldn't use him anymore. He didn't have anything to contribute to whatever they were trying to do. You had people like the Lyndon B. Johnsons of the world who were angry with him because he was starting to speak out against the Vietnam War. And if you go back and do some research and you find what Martin Luther King's approval rating was the year before he died, I think you'd be shocked. Because again, history will have us believe that everybody loved Martin, and that just wasn't it. Right. He started moving away from civil rights, and he started getting into poverty, the poor man's campaign, and like I said, the protesting against the Vietnam War. And so they was cool, as you know, the politicians was cool when he was talking about civil rights. That was something they could get behind, once it became popular, right? Not in the beginning, but by the mid 60s, when it sort of was the thing to do, everybody could, stand behind him. But when he started getting into pay inequality and poor people in poverty, and he started getting into the Vietnam War and how disproportionately black soldiers were going to war, and why we were even fighting this war to begin with, they didn't want to do that. They didn't want to hear that. Oh, no. They had a problem with that. Absolutely, Lyndon Johnson was racist. He was a white man from Texas, a rich white man from Texas. He absolutely was racist. Absolutely. And so that's why Eartha read him and Lady Bird. She sure did. And she got blackballed for her trouble, but she sure did. She absolutely did. My grandmother used to tell me she didn't like him back in the 60s, and she wasn't alone. And she's not lying. She's not lying. He wasn't. Remember, history will want us to believe that the only black person out here was Martin Luther King, and he wasn't. Let's not forget the black Muslims were doing great things with Malcolm X. Let's not forget the SNCC was out here doing great things. Let's not forget that, later on in the 1960s, we had the Black Panthers. So, like, him and SCLC were not the only ones out here doing things. And a lot of people felt like they would come to town, they would cause a stir, and then they would leave. And they would leave the people who lived there to deal with the rest. There was and I was trying to find the footage before I came on here so I could show you guys. Martin Luther King was in Chicago a couple of months before he was killed, and people were literally throwing bricks at him. Black people were literally throwing stones and bricks at him because they were not happy that he was there, because they saw him as a sellout. But in 1968, what was rising in prominence in Chicago at the time? The Black Panther Party. Once you reach a certain level, folks begin to hate you. King was a lonely man towards the end. Even his family had issues with him. He found himself in a dark, lonely place. Exactly. Facts. There's so many black leaders other than Martin Luther King. It's ridiculous. And guess when I learned this? When I got to college and took an African American struggles course. Right. A lot of people felt like that, Zach, especially down south. For example, the reason why he wrote that one of his most famous writings is his letter from the Birmingham jail. And that letter he wrote it out of despair. He wrote it out of frustration because he was like, listen, I'm down here and nobody gives a damn. He was sitting in a Birmingham jail and nobody gave a damn. The news didn't give a damn. Nobody reported on it. If it wasn't for the SCLC and his wife calling up, Robert Kennedy saying, excuse me, my husband, Martin Luther King is sitting in a jail. Is somebody going to do something? But he sat in that jail for days, and the SCLC could not get the local people in Birmingham to do anything. They were like, we ain't asking him to come down here. I ain't losing my good job fooling with Martin Luther King. I'm not getting my car repossessed fooling with Martin Luther King. Ain't nobody asking him to come down here. People forget that if it weren't for the Children's March, that's what got the attention in Birmingham. It was not Martin Luther King. And as a matter of fact, Martin Luther King didn't want the children to get involved because he said, I can't have that on my conscience. If something happens to those kids, I can't have it on my conscience. And yes, the Children's March was successful and it made headline news and it changed the trajectory of the civil rights movement. But what happened a few months after all of that? A few months after the Children's March and everybody went back home, what happened? 16th Street Baptist Church got bombed and 4 little girls were killed. That's why they bombed 16th Street Baptist Church, because that is where they used to have all the meetings during the Children's March. That is where the kids would meet before they left out and went through the park and went on their merry little way to go on their little march for the day. So when the Klan wanted to target something, they targeted the symbol of the Children's March, which was 16th Street Baptist Church. That sat on his conscience. People on both sides called King a troublemaker. He was a great orator, and his messages were very inspiring. That helped his. Absolutely, he was. He was. Black people have to get over. There's only one way to do something. If you don't agree with someone, fine, do your part. We can have several different avenues to liberation. Facts. That's a fact. That's a fact. So I ain't gonna dwell on it, y'all. We're gonna get into some other stuff, but I just wanted to bring it up. This one thing when I teach my classes, I always want to give them. I try to give them other sides of the story. By the time my students get to me, they've been fed 9 school years of Martin Luther King's and the myth and the myth and the legend, right? And so we have real conversations about Martin Luther King. And again, I don't take away anything that he did, and I don't disparage his character. But understand that by the time my kids get to me, they heard that he cheated on his wife. So let's have a conversation about it. Let's talk about the fact that somebody can be a bad husband but still be a great leader. One has nothing to do with the other, right? So they know it. Let's talk about it. But let's talk about some of his other views outside of civil rights. That's the easy stuff, right? But his view on the Vietnam War, let's talk about that, because that's what pissed people off. It's a really good book. We talked about it earlier on El Teddy's channel. We talked about it earlier that sorry. It's by Tavis Smiley. It's something like the last year of Martin Luther King's life or something like that. Now, I ain't the biggest Tavis Smiley fan anymore, but the book is still a good book. I mean, it's a good book. It's a good book. Yeah. Yeah, you can come on now. We can ready to switch the topic, boo, if you want to come through. Hey, what's up, Tabitha? Good to see you, girl. I've been following you over on the TikTok. You are a fool over on the TikTok, honey. Tabitha listen, I've been finding some good stuff over there, honey. This is good therapy for you today. You just felt like King. Maybe I need to get arrested and write a letter from jail. Don't do that. Don't get arrested, Jonathan. Listen, if you get arrested, wait till Friday. I ain't gonna have no bail money till Friday, okay? They talk about his cheating in school. I only learned about it on Twitter. Yeah. The same way you learned about it, my kids learned about it. I mean, they. Mm-hmm. And you said you learned about it in school. I didn't learn about it at all until I was an adult. It wasn't even talked about. So, you know what I'm saying? It's all about information and how readily available the information is. Y'all remember how old I am. Y'all remember I'm old. So, the information highway, when I was in school, we didn't have an internet. So if it wasn't in books and all that good stuff, and that was one of those, I'd heard about it when did I find out about it? I think I might have found out about it in high school, but not because anybody told me, but because I probably read it somewhere. I had done a lot of research on COINTELPRO in high school. And I think I might have come across it in high school. But I'm gonna be honest with you, I didn't believe it. I thought it was a lie. It was propaganda that was brought up by J. Edgar Hoover. I didn't believe it. So I did learn about it, but I didn't believe it. All right, y'all. So listen, that was just my little kumbaya moment. Let's go on and get into some of this nonsense, and then we're gonna end with politics, okay? So you found out when the JFK movie came out, child. And I remember there was a movie called King. I don't know if y'all remember it or not. When I was a kid, they showed it every January. It was a movie called King. And in the movie, they had a scene where they played the tapes. Remember, JFK had sent the tapes of Martin Luther King, and allegedly it was the sounds of him, sleeping with his mistress. And the way they showed it in the movie was, of course, Coretta Scott King got upset, but they made it seem like it was just a lie, and it was so ridiculous. And this was just a lie that the government was they were so desperate to prove him being a bad guy. You know what I'm saying? You're on camera, sir. I pulled you up already, sir.
I know we're getting done.
Oh, wait a minute, your sound. Something's wrong with your sound.
Really?
Yeah.
I'll come back in.
Okay. You got a lot of it from your mother. Oh yeah, you know that, child. Yeah, so it was a movie that used to, I don't know, they probably don't show it anymore because it's probably dated now. But it used to come out, they used to show it every January for his birthday. And I think it was called King. It was called King. I'm almost certain that's what it was called. And it would come on 2 nights. They used to show it on, like, if you lived in the DC area, they showed it on Channel 5. Before Channel 5 became a Fox network, it was just like an independent station that would come on every year. Hey, Lock Queen, what's up? Hoover. Did I say JFK? I meant Hoover. Hoover. All right, y'all. So let's jump into this mess. You remember? Okay, King Rama, remember what I'm talking about? It was a movie called King, and it was starring the guy. I can see his face right now. The guy who played I can see his face. Oh, what was his name? I can see his face. All right, I'm ready when you are. Give me the thumbs up when you're ready, y'all. Paul Winfield, that's it. See? Thank you, Brandon. That's it. That's what it's called. Yep. And Cicely Tyson played Coretta. Yep. That's the movie.
Can I see me? Okay.
You ready?
Yeah, am I still acting up? Can you hear me?
Are you ready? I mean, were you ready to come on? Because I was like, let me know when you're ready, but I ain't getting it.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, good. Yeah, that's what it was called. It was Paul Winfield and Cicely Tyson, and it's called King. And you can probably it's probably on YouTube now because it's old. I mean, clearly 1978. So if it was made in 1978, he had only been, gone for 10 years. So you're going to get the whitewashed version of his life. They're going to show you some stuff, but it ain't going to be that deep. You know what I mean? They're going to show you some of it, but it ain't going to be that deep. Y'all know what I'm saying. Hey, what's up, Mr. Fit Brown dude? How you doing, boo? All right, y'all, let's jump into this. So last night we had another installment of that Real Housewives show down to the Atlanta. Now, it wasn't too much stuff that was exciting. So let's just hit the hot spots. One of the hot spots for me was that Candy didn't put nobody on blast, but Don Juan did today on his Instagram. And Candy didn't edit the video. She could have edited the video if she wanted to, but she didn't. So she kind of wanted it out there. But last night she made mention of the fact that when she did her Candy Cares community service, but she was feeding people, doing the grocery bags for the folks. Everybody welcome y'all. It was a mini series, nearly 5 hours long. Yeah. So they would show 2.5 hours on one night and then 2.5 hours the next night. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So you and that daggone smoke.
It's my trademark, okay? Everybody has their trademark.
I ain't mad at you. But she was talking about people who made donations. Now on camera, Marlo made sure that y'all knew she made a donation. She gave Candy her $5,000 check on camera in front of everybody and be clear to say, this is my $5,000 check. Then Candy was like, Portia, thank you for your donation. And then when Drew called, Candy was like, "Thank you for your donation." Now, she made mention of the fact that some people didn't give as much as others, and that she was really shocked at some of the people who did not give. Now, the only people that was left was Cynthia, uh, um, Kenya, and Tanya. Now, out of those three names, who do you think didn't give no money?
um, I would like to say Cynthia due to her planning the wedding, but I'm going to have to say Kenya for some strange reason.
Kenya, you would be correct, sir. Ding, 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 ding. Because Kenya didn't give no money. Kenya didn't give no money. Okay.
But what I will say though is like I do feel that was kind of messed up for her to even allude to that. You know what I'm saying? Because one, you can't count nobody's pockets. One, two, you don't know nobody's situation because you never know. Her fighting this divorce, where I think they're still together now, Kenya and Mark. You don't know what she's dealing with, and the fact that she gave of her time to be there, despite the fact that they were shooting the scene, and this is a reality TV show. Nevertheless, but I do feel that was kind of messed up and that was kind of petty. That was kind of shady of
I
Candy
agree
to
with
do
all of
that.
the above. And you know, I don't even rock with Kenya like that. But I agree with all of the above. I feel like it was shady of Candy to even allude to it, that people gave and some people didn't. I feel like you're right. You can't count nobody else's pocket. She may not have it to give. She may be giving to other charities. She may have done other things. You're absolutely correct. The only problem is Kenya never misses an opportunity to shade other people. And I think that's why so many people are so quick to shade her, because she never misses an opportunity.
Facts. I can't deny that. I can't.
And I just think that that's what it was. I don't know. Um,
Well, I mean, it was see, but then the other thing is, it was, if I'm not mistaken, she threw that shade. Yeah, it was in her confessional that she threw the shade, and the confessionals are shot after the scenes have already happened. So, in her doing that, that kind of leads me to believe something must have transpired with her and Kenya up until I guess up until they had to go back and continue shooting. So it could be that. It could be something that we didn't see. And I like Candy, I like Kenya, but we got to be honest. Candy is very passive aggressive in how she moves. Period. Even with the shade she throws, with the things that she does, she's very passive aggressive, and she tends to get Don Juan and Karma and Mama Joyce and them. She gets them to do all of
do
her
her
dirty
dirty work.
work. So
Mhm.
I don't know.
Yeah, I like I said, I hate to defend, but in this case, I just hate that. Like, you give because you give, and then you may not always have it to give. You may not always be in a position to give. So, I don't know. I just, and she's saying her hair care line is $1 million business. Yeah, that's true, but she still might not want to give Candy none of it. If you're going to run your mouth about other women's bank account, be prepared to be dragged for being stingy or broke. Facts.
True.
Facts.
True. I,
Facts.
I can't disagree with that statement. I can't.
Yeah, I mean, that's true. That's true. So there was that. Now, Kenya didn't seem to care too much about the whole conversation about Dennis coming to the wedding and how Portia felt about it. How we feel about that?
Uh well, okay. I mean, it's layers to it. I mean, one, we got to remember that those who more or less it's Portia that doesn't like Kenya, and Kenya's just following suit. Because if we all remember last season, they were cool up until Portia getting back cool with Nene, and now they're no longer cool. So I mean that's one thing to consider. Also, I mean, I think Kenya kind of feels sort of how we feel, where okay, y'all together, then y'all not together, y'all together, then y'all not together, y'all together, then he cheating. So the whole back and forth, that could be it. Yet at the same time, we can also apply that to Kenya and Mark. I mean, literally, these two women they're two sides of the same coin. Damn it. But I mean, I'm just being, I mean, because literally what I'm saying for one, I'm saying for the other. Like that whole scene, I really just didn't care. I did. But I will say Kenya was being, overly shady in that particular moment for doing that. Because at the same time, Kenya would lose her mind if they return that same thing to her with her going through this divorce.
Right. But Xavier, this is different. We're not talking about when you go in the store and the store asks you to round up your grocery bill to give a donation and all of that. We're talking about a friend of yours who's having a charity and she's taking donations to give to people during COVID. That's a little bit different. Again, she doesn't have to give. Like I'm okay with the fact that Kenya may or may not have wanted to give. I'm okay with that. But it's
Unless
not the same.
chat with Lynn with Lachey said, "Is Mark coming?" Look,
Listen, is Mark coming to the wedding? Is Mark coming?
oh gosh, oh gosh, that was funny. I'm sorry, that was hilarious.
Didn't Kenya get on Nene for not donating to Chicago charity? Now Kenya not donating. Well, again, we already know that the rules don't apply to Kenya. Kenya can make the rules, but she doesn't have to follow any of them. We know that.
Okay, if I'm not mistaken, with that particular situation, they both of them agreed they were going to donate. They both agreed that they were going to do it. Then come the reunion, Nene still had not donated. So that was one of those with those two being, these agreed to doing something and then one backed out.
That does make a difference as well. That makes a difference as well. Now, my thing is this. Okay, and I know you see it from a men's lens, so you may or may not see it the same way. But
okay,
how you feel about Dennis coming to the wedding or not coming to the wedding? If Mike wanted Dennis to come and he was like, I really don't care whether y'all together or not, I'm cool with him and I want him to come to the wedding. How you feel about that?
That he's justified. Granted, I know I'm probably gonna get ate up for this, but that's cool. Like I said, I can stand in my shit. It's both Cynthia and Mike's wedding. If Mike is cool with him and Cynthia is cool with Portia, if he wants him there, then he should be able to come. And if we take this whole cast thing out of it, if one can't come, then don't invite the other. I mean, just real talk. And what I said in my review, and I'm pretty sure we're going to get to it about Barbara and her ex-husband.
Oh, we're gonna get there.
I know, but they can be at two separate ends in the dang place. Like they don't necessarily have to talk to each other. But I know most females say it's a woman's wedding. So I mean, if that's the route I want to go, cool. But I mean, if he legit has a friendship with Dennis, then he should be allowed to invite his friend.
And let's be clear. Oh, excuse me. In my opinion, because I don't know this to be a fact, but out of them 250 people that y'all invited, probably 50 of them was Mike's people, and 150 of them was yours. So, or 200 of them was yours. And do my math right. So, if he want to add one more name to the guest list, I mean, I don't see what the problem is either. Especially since he was going to be invited if him and Portia were still together. So it's not like, it was an issue with him coming. I'm not one of those people that feels like it's the woman's day and the man has no say. Now, I do believe that the woman, there's certain things that a bride should get. But something like the guest list, I don't think is one of those things that the bride, that the groom should have no say so in. I don't agree with that. And my thing is, you already creating a super spreader event anyway. What's one more person where you'd invited 250 people in the damn pandemic? What's one more person? You know that Mike doesn't have a lot of friends in Atlanta. So if he's been cool with Dennis and that's somebody he's hung out with and they spent some time together, I don't see what the problem was.
Me neither.
All right. Now, Kenya not caring. That was just Kenya being Kenya. Okay.
Yeah.
How do you feel about the situation with Candy and the child support and Riley and all of that? What's your take on that?
So we've dealt with this, if I'm not mistaken, on three separate seasons.
Yeah.
One season that was a big storyline. There was another season, a couple seasons back, where she wanted to, but that got overshadowed by something else. I forget which season, so don't quote me. And now we're back at it again. And the reality is this: like, if he owes, he should pay. Point blank and the period. But this doesn't have to be a storyline. And it's and if Candy doesn't want to get involved, then let Riley take his ass to court. But to sit here and push this on us when we've dealt with this on two separate occasions, and now it is back again. Again, I'm not saying that you don't pay her what she pay the child what the child is owed. And I think they said it's like 92,000, something like
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
Hell yeah, run them pockets, bro. But
Especially when he had it. Like she said, he used to be a millionaire. Now, whether he's still a millionaire or not ain't my business. But it's an echo. I don't know if it's an echo, but you had the money. You had the money. So you squandered your money and didn't pay your child support. That's on you, bruh. And I don't, and like that. I guess that was Kenya's. I mean, that was Candy's assistant or her makeup artist or something. Her stylist, whoever that was like, you got enough. No, because one, it don't have nothing to do with what Candy has and what Candy doesn't have. One has nothing to do with the other. And like Candy said, this is Riley. This ain't even me pushing it. This is Riley pushing it. And I think part of it is she wants her dad to pay. I think part of it is, well, you were never a dad to me, so run me my money. And like Candy said, I'm gonna give the money to Riley anyway. But you notice how Mike was like, you might want to put that in a trust. Like you might not want to just drop $92,000 in the girl bank account. Okay. Put it in some sort of trust for like 5 or 6 years. Let her get out of college. Let her do some things. And then, you want to give her access to the money, then give her access to the money then. But
that sound like to me more of some legal advice, like to make this really work in your favor. The courts might play with you a little bit better if we say it's going into a trust account rather than we're just giving it in a lump sum. I think that was his way of trying to, help her out just a little bit.
Right. And like Tabitha said, that's Riley's money. It's not, and I like that Candy was like, I'm gonna give it to her. Like it's her money. Because again, it's not about Candy. And I don't think Candy really does care. I do think this is coming from Riley. And I'm not going to psychoanalyze it and get too deep into it. But listen, if that's what he owed, and she know that he used to be riding around Atlanta in Bentleys and stuff, and he couldn't pay his damn child support, I want run me my coin. Run me my coin. I'm with it. Okay. Last but not least, because there wasn't too much else interesting going on down to this episode, but the most important, for me, the most interesting part of this episode was this whole situation with Cynthia, her mama, her daddy, and this wedding. Listen, first of all, let me say this. He walked you down the aisle at your first wedding.
Thank you.
Won't he the same man that whooped your mama ass at the first wedding? So now all of a sudden, because you talked about it publicly, it's a problem. He was at the first wedding and he walked you down the aisle. So your mama did the PSA telling y'all's family business. And now because of some people are a little embarrassed whether the story is true or not. And the story is probably true. But, he probably ain't that person no more. And so now everybody's a little embarrassed. And some of her friends then call her talking about something. Why you talk about him? He a good man. He don't do that no more. He done gave his life over to Christ. Why you put him on to the Bravo telling all y'all business? That's what happened. So now Cynthia mama got embarrassed by it. And now she gonna blame Cynthia, talking about something. You tricked me into doing that PSA. Girl, there was cameras all in your face. You had hair and makeup. Who tricked you? And then she gonna say, I've been mad at you. So you've been mad at her for the last 3 or 4 years? Because that happened 3-4 seasons ago. So you've been mad at her that long?
Well,
so how you feel about it?
Well, the first thing I want to say with people getting upset about her telling the story, and this right here is blanket for everybody, right? So no one understand wherever you are in your life, everybody has a story to tell. There are some people that are not telling their story because they're trying to protect somebody else's feelings. But when they tell their story, they are not going to tell the story based off of who you are now. They're going to tell the story based off who you were then, what you did to them then, what you said to them then. So you have to be ready for that. Point blank and the period. Now, all of that being said, because that is the most that I'm about to give Barbara. Now, Barbara full of shit. I was so upset watching it. All that I could think of is I had Braxton Family Values replaying in my mother flipping head. Because I'm like, if her and Evelyn ain't best friends, I know something. Because it seemed like these two hang out on the weekends. You know, they be going to the country club, hitting up the cabins and stuff, commiserating. Because because it's like I'm not liking this whole thing of pushing your feelings off on your children, making your child do something to make you feel comfortable. Like, ma'am, based off what I glean, you're a baby boomer. You've lived long, you've lived your life, you've done what you needed to do. And in all this time, if you have not got, again, I can't tell nobody when to get over anything that didn't happen to them. But if after all this time you have not seen counseling, therapy, talk to the pastor, talk to the bishop, talk to the deacons, the motherboard, if you ain't talked to somebody to reconcile this in your spirit, we have a serious problem. One, two, if this was such a big issue, we showed it. We didn't hear about none of this when Peter was getting married to Cynthia. But what we did remember is you and Mallory had the marriage certificate, but that's not here nor there. But it wasn't an issue when he walked her down the aisle then. So, and then it said, you did not know what a PSA is, even if she did not know what a public service announcement is. The fact that you are not only talking about this issue to a camera literally right in front of you, the Bravo cameras are right behind those cameras. So you know this is going to be on a nationally syndicated platform that was going to be showed to millions of people. What did you expect to happen? And rather than own your ish, rather than deal with whatever the blowout was based off of your action, what you chose to do as a grown woman, your first instinct is to sit here and blame your child. And then we have Cynthia reducing herself to being a little kid in the presence of her mother, being verbally attacked and demeaned by her, which I wish she had the spirit of Mallory, because Mallory just looked at her mama like, I'm cool with him. I don't forget. That ain't got nothing to do with me.
But like she said, that was like she said, he was he's still my father. And that was gonna be my thing. And I respect what you said, Tabitha, the fact that you grew up in an abusive household. But this is what I'm saying, and this is what Ayanla always say to these people: he was your husband, but he's their father. So your relationship with him, yes, he was abusive. It was a horrible relationship, but at the end of the day, that's still their father.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I think it's not fair of you to ask them to take out. Okay, I don't know where you got me playing.
Wait, what happened?
You can't hear. It's a real bad echo.
No, I don't hear it.
Am I tripping, y'all?
Do y'all hear that echo? Because the only guy
I hear when you talk, but I hear when I talk.
Okay, wait. Let me see what happens. Let me mute myself and see if that helps.
Okay, it's gone. I don't know. Okay. It's gone now.
Okay, so I guess I'll have to mute myself then. So maybe it's me. Y'all know StreamYard be acting up now.
Yeah, StreamYard be on one. Because, again, I couldn't hear when you talk, but I can hear when I talk. But it could have been me. See, they're saying there was no echo, so it might have just been me. So maybe I need to go out and come back in. It might have been me.
No, somebody said there is an echo.
Oh, okay. Somebody said there is. Okay, so some people hear, some people don't. Okay, child, we're gonna keep it moving then. But yeah, and again, I respect the fact. Again, I respect the fact that that's not my story. I didn't grow up in an abusive household, but I also feel like parents, in my opinion, I feel like parents take out what happened. Now, if a child grows up and says, I grew up seeing you whip my mama's ass and I don't want to have nothing to do with you, that's another conversation. But to put that expectation on your child, and again, he was at the damn first wedding.
And not only was he at the first wedding, you didn't make a stink about it then.
Right. You was more concerned about holding out that daggone marriage certificate from Cynthia than you was about her coming to the wedding. And I agree. And I have a problem with the fact that Noelle put her little 2 cents in.
Okay. Now, here's where I think I'm about to lose a lot of people. I wasn't mad with Noelle having her opinion. And here's why. Noelle may not be grown, but she is an adult. 1. 2, if we didn't want her opinion, then why is she there? Trust and believe. Yeah, I'm very much grown, but let me be honest. If my mom don't want me own conversation, guess what she gonna do? She gonna be like, this ain't got nothing to do with you. Go on somewhere, go on somewhere. And I'm gonna respectfully get about her business. So the fact that they did not dismiss Noelle had every right to voice whatever her opinion was. Now, I do feel that it was kind of met. I didn't like that she truly just sided with the grandma because I don't know. All I'm gonna say to that is to Miss Noel, if she ever sees this, you best to hope and pray that either your mother or your father don't pull this same move on you if and when you get married. You better hope and pray that they do not. And sometimes you reap what you sow, and don't take this the wrong way, y'all, but you tend to get your karma back through your children. So if this doesn't happen with your parents, it may happen if and when you have a child and your child has to go through it and don't want to see one, either you or the father or sperm donor, whatever the situation may be, at the wedding, or the other whatever the makeup tends to be. But yeah, that was real kind of nasty. But I mean, again, she's entitled to her opinion. And if we didn't want to hear that opinion, she shouldn't have been there. Plus, we're not going to sit and pretend as if Noelle don't sit here and shade and check Cynthia all the time. Noelle tends to be the parent in the relationship when she talks to Cynthia.
Everybody is the adult in the conversation when they're talking to Cynthia. Cynthia is such a damn shrinking violet. Like, I have never seen a woman that, I mean, I don't know. I don't know. Cynthia always comes off as the deer with their, stuck in the headlights. It's like, girl, they did put Noelle. They did put Noelle in that conversation, and I see what you're saying. I didn't see it in that moment, y'all, because in that moment I was like, girl. But you're right. They asked her for her opinion. She gave her opinion. We may not like her opinion, and her opinion is from the point of view of a grandchild. And a grandchild's opinion is going to be different because, one, she doesn't know that man as her grandfather. She didn't grow up with him like that because Cynthia didn't have the best relationship with him versus Cynthia growing up with that man as her father, you know. But at the same time, I don't feel like Cynthia should. This is my opinion. Now, again, had the father not been at the first wedding and had there not been a situation where they were in the room together before and things like that had happened before, that's one thing. But I'm just sitting here like, but y'all been around each other before. Clearly something changed after the PSA. That's just me. And I didn't think it was fair for her mother to push off that on Cynthia. I think clearly the mother probably still needs some therapy and she has not processed that trauma. But for her to put it on Cynthia, oh, you tricked me. I didn't even know what a PSA was. Ma'am, I'm going to be respectful of my elders, but you were in full hair and makeup. You had 2 sets of cameras in your face and you were there all day. And so the people before you and the people after you tell their stories. I'm sorry. And let's assume all of that is true. You've been mad at Cynthia for the last 4 years and didn't have a conversation with her about it? Y'all, you just been mad for 4 years.
I can believe that to be true. I really can. And the only reason that I say that is like right now, my current living situation, my mother inherited 2 apartment buildings. So I'm her tenant, she's my landlord. I'm on the 2nd floor, she's on the 1st floor. We like my uncle-in-law, so her sister's husband was over. We all was chit-chat, and then all of a sudden my mom decides to bring up some shit that happened several months ago and try to clown me in front of him. And I'm looking at her just like, well, if it was that big of a deal, like, why didn't you come at me the day it happened, the next day, a week later? But you waited until your brother-in-law comes over, and then now all of a sudden you want to sit here and spray me like what are we doing? Like,
right.
So I mean,
right. Oh, I believe her mother's been mad, but I'm just saying that's not fair to Cynthia. That now you wait till now to decide you mad about this. I'm just saying that's not fair to Cynthia. Oh, I believe she was probably mad, but I didn't think it was fair to Cynthia.
Yeah. But see, I try to be as nice as I could on Barbara when I did my review earlier today. I don't think that I'm going to give her that. Well, I don't think I gave her that much grace just now, but I really don't believe when I do the panel tonight, Yeah, I highly doubt that I'm going to be real nice. I,
Again, I mean, me personally, it rubbed me the wrong way. And again, my perspective is different from other people's, and that's fine too. But I just really I felt like it's Cynthia's wedding, and if Cynthia wants her dad there, she should have her dad there. Again, I get it that there was. I'm not negating that there was abuse. I believe that it was an abusive relationship. I get that. But I also feel like in the last 50 years, you have found time to be in the room with this man before. And it's going to be 250 other people there. I'm just saying. I'm just
y'all just not gonna let that go, are y'all? Y'all gonna
no,
hold this over
200
Cynthia's head until the day she die.
250 other people there.
Whew.
Anyway, moving on. So that was pretty much all that really was interesting. Now we headed down to Charleston for the infamous stuff down in Charleston, child. So we'll get to that. They said the next 4 weeks, so they're gonna drag that Charleston trip out for 4 episodes, honey.
Unfortunately,
Which means
and
which means that the good stuff ain't gonna happen for the next 3 weeks.
pretty much. I mean that is how this shit go. And just on a side note, like I've been catching up on some of the other Housewives. I told you I got binged to watch Jersey, so I'm ready for them to come back. I'm currently watching Beverly Hills, and I I swear I came with either group because they are.
Okay, so you're getting caught up. Okay, you're getting caught up with Beverly Hills.
Mm-hmm.
What season are you on?
Let me pull up my dang on Hulu record. I think I'm on season
Because I skipped a couple of seasons. Some of the stuff I can't help you with because I skipped a couple of the seasons. I watched like the first 2 seasons, and then I skipped a couple of seasons in the middle, and then I picked it up about maybe 3 years ago. So some of that stuff I missed too.
I lied. I'm on season 7. I said 4. I'm on season 7.
So I can't remember. So what's going on? Did I see that season? What's going on in your season? I don't know whether I looked at it or not.
So with this season, it's the whole them. I guess everybody finally starting to turn on Lisa Vanderpump with her being quote unquote manipulative and all this other stuff, and her not knowing how to apologize. And I'm like, we've been dealing like, and one thing that I can't stand about some of these housewife shows, primarily with Jersey and Beverly Hills, is they will sit here and stretch something out for seasons, and I don't get it. I don't understand it. And then I don't like how some people come on the show being so weak where they know who the queen bee is. So I'm gonna sit here and try to get in. I was like, no, come in and just do your thug thizzle. Like, what are you doing? Like, the one person that I could not stand, and I'm glad she off the show, was Brandy. I couldn't stand Brandy.
Oh, I can't stand her. I can't stand her.
Because she has this whole thing of, I can see on to you and then I apologize. Well, it should be over now. Like, and when you're constantly doing something and constantly having to apologize, that don't quite work. And then and look, I'm all for having a reckless mouth, because damn it, I got a reckless mouth.
No.
See, why you playing? I mean, I'm all for. Look, I stood up for Candace with her having a reckless mouth. Shit, I mean, it is what it is. I got one, but I stand in my shit. But it's always the apology, or because she can't handle what's going on, is the big, let me say F you, or all this other stuff. And she was so emotionally draining. And what was so funny, because I said this in the panel group chat, is on the last reunion that she was on, and Andy was trying to do this whole equation of, it's like when you're playing with your dog and your dog just happens to bite you. And she was like, no, fuck you. I'm not accepting. Like, literally just start saying, fuck you. I'm not going to take this from you. And I'm looking like, oh, you said this to Bravo, Andy? Is this what we doing? And what is funny to me is, so she can sit here and say that, and she's not even a friend of the show. She's more of a guest of a show. But you still let her come back in that capacity. But you got mad when Monique said this little chat. Oh, okay. All right. I'm just saying.
But that was one of the things that they were talking about, the comparison to how he treats the other housewives. That was one of the conversations. I would say this. So, okay. So as far as New Jersey is concerned, Y'all, and I'll put you on the spot right now. They want me to review it, but I have never looked at New Jersey, so I don't know these people. So
So,
if I decide to do it, I would probably have to do it as a live review and let y'all tell me what the hell is going on.
or what I recommend you do, because I know
If
with
I don't
Hulu.
have time to go back and
Wait,
binge
wait,
watch
wait.
that.
No, what I'm gonna say is like unless Hulu then took it off, because what tends to happen is if the show is either about to come back or is actually like back showing, they won't allow you to just watch it. You have to like have an add-on service to watch it.
Right,
I would
right.
just say watch the reunions. Just watch the reunions of the past season. It'll give you pretty much 90 to 95% of what happened, and then you should be good rather than watching the entire. Like I'm going through watching the entire thing because I like to like have a nice little
See, I'm the
Rolodex
same
of
way.
what
I
happened.
want all the information. I don't want
Yeah,
the clip notes. But I hear what you're saying, though. That is a good way to do it. But yeah, I want all of the information.
I know. I mean, like, I part of me don't want to review it because I just got done binge watching it and I cannot stand Teresa. I cannot stand Teresa. I really can't. And I used to be a fan
One
of
of my mods put y'all's channel in the link channel in the chat, please. Can y'all
and
put the chat channel in the
and
chat?
then with her sister-in-law Melissa, I was riding for Melissa, and then Melissa decided to just I'm gonna get along to play along, and I'm just like, okay, see now Melissa, I don't like you because you sitting here just taking abuse for what reason, and then it's this whole thing of family, 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 and I'm like, ain't none of y'all acting like family.
Listen.
So and I'm tired of the whole Teresa and her I don't even know if that's her ex-husband yet, but it is like three different Joes on the show because you got Teresa's husband
See,
slash
that's what
ex-husband
I'm saying.
Joe.
Like all these jokes.
You got that one, then Melissa husband is named Joe, and then I think Marge husband named Joe, and then with Marge you have Marge Senior and Marge Junior. So you got two different Marges. Look. At least knowing and watching Jersey, they gonna give you some stuff to talk about. So I mean, okay.
They
So
want me to review it. And I ain't saying no. I'm just saying I don't know yet.
okay, so if you want to, what we can do is like we can just get on and we can just do a joint review.
Yeah, I ain't saying no. I'm just saying I don't know yet. But they want me to review it, child. And I ain't never seen this thing before. New Jersey is why side eye people saying Real Housewives of Potomac was so violent. That's what I keep hearing. That is what I keep hearing. You said they got
Well,
5 stars named Joe.
well, I mean, the reason they say that about New Jersey is mostly because of Teresa. That Teresa, that flipped the table. She pushed Andy, and when she pushed Andy on, I believe it was the first reunion. He joked about it, like he was laughing, like "You're real strong. Like I didn't think you could throw me down. Like really? So you're laughing at the fact that your employee just got physical with you? Oh, because she's a cash cow. Oh, okay, that's
Right,
probably why.
exactly. But I bet, but Nene was the cash cow on Atlanta, and she wouldn't have got away with that.
Well, the only reason Nene never got physical is because you had people like Lisa Wu and Candy that would grab her, hold her, sit on her to keep her from on a reunion, more or less, keep her from getting two people.
You watch Jersey too, Tabitha? They trying to get me now. They
You
little
gotta
baby,
you
little
gotta
baby,
watch
they
it.
trying to get me. They trying to get me.
Look,
And it's trying to get me
I'm
for a
just letting
couple
you
years
know.
now.
I'm just letting you know. I mean, it's some good stuff there, and based off the previews, like they did. I would just say watch it. And
Okay.
of course, Bravo is good for showing the flashbacks of certain
Yeah,
things that they
Bravo
talk
good
about.
for flashbacks. Yeah, they good for
So even if
flashbacks.
you don't know the context of something, Bravo does a decent, not a great job, but of showing you a good flashback.
You
And I
review
say,
it. You know what? Then I may just go back and watch Tabitha's reviews, child. I may just go back and watch her reviews. She'll get me
yeah,
caught up.
yeah. Teresa flipped the whole table. She threw a drink on one girl. She broke a glass. She did all that. Then one girl, I think her name is Jennifer. She doused somebody. She threw a fork, bust the glass. You had Marge throwing drinks, dousing I forget the other girl name with water and whatnot. Then you had the girl that got kicked off, can't remember her name, grabbing Marge by her whole ponytail and
Lord.
whiplashed and dragged her to the ground. Like, yeah, they get real violent on Jersey. Yeah.
Mm. Oh yeah, the Mob Wives. Now I love me some Mob Wives. I think Mob Wives. When I get done, I have too much right now. But when I get done with one of these flash, with one of my retro reviews, I think Mob Wives might be my next retro review. Because when I tell you I should love me some Mob Wives, baby. Now you talk about some fighting.
But see, I didn't like Drita. I didn't like Drita. I did initially, but Drita talked so much shit, but never threw hands.
No, Drita, yes, she did. Oh, Drita fought.
Now I'm saying with the mouth she got, she ain't fight as much as she said she was going to. That's all I'm saying. Like Drita came off as real fake to me.
Budget. I feel like half of their budget was security, because between Drita and Karen, now the one that had a whole lot of mouth that wasn't never ready to fight was Renee.
That is true. Drita
was always ready to fight. And Karen, remember at whose birthday party that was with Drita? Like all you saw was the cameras doing like this, and next thing you know, Karen was on the ground. Drita had a bloody lip, and we to this day we don't know who got the best of who, but baby. And then that time when they was at Renee's house, when Drita drugged Renee through the house, like they used to get it in, but Renee was the one that ain't never really fight.
I guess what I should say is, because I don't remember all the people. What I mean is Drita didn't go after, like Drita didn't have those drag outs with everybody that she had some, but I just feel there were other people where I don't think she wanted that smoke. It was like she did. Like I'm not saying she didn't fight. Let me take that back. I'm not saying she didn't fight, but I think she had selective hands, is what I'm saying.
But I think, let me tell you something. I used to love Drita in the first couple of seasons, but she got to be too much for me. I was like, come on, Drita, like that can't always be your answer, is to fight. Like in the beginning, Karen was always here for the rah-rah, but at a certain point, Karen was like, girl, I'm really tired of fighting you. Can we just sit down and have a conversation? And Drita was like, what you want? What you want? And I was like, Drita, y'all can't have coffee? Like, damn, down to the Starbucks.
Now somebody said RP Big Ange, just RP to her. Like that is the one person on reality TV that I think that was the one person I think on reality TV that did it right in terms of being just the peacemaker, being the mediator. Because didn't nobody want it with her, but she did a good job of just trying to keep the peace. I love Big Ange. I was so sad. I believe it was cancer that took her out. I think that's what it was. Yeah. It was so sad. That was sad.
Yeah, everybody, and I think it's a testament that everybody loved her. Like even people that didn't like each other, and they respected her. If Ange said it, they gave her that respect. All right, well, let's talk a little bit about Wendy, and then we're gonna get out of here. We're gonna do our little politics because I know you. I mean, whenever you got to click off, I know you got to get ready to go anyway. But Wendy, so Wendy's brother blasted her this weekend. Mm-hmm. And then Wendy put on her show today and sort of blasted him back. But I'll be honest with you, and I sort of felt like this yesterday when we talked about it. I feel like this is all for her documentary. Because even when she responded to her brother today, she found a way to plug the documentary talking about you can't blast me with my own tea, and anything that I haven't said, you'll find out. And you know what? I ain't doing this with you, Abby.
No. I'm laughing because a little bit, because that scene had me hollering. So it was a scene where Marge Jr. was going at Danielle's husband at the time, but it was their best friend, and he was talking cash money to Marge, and both Marge and her husband pushed his ass in the pool. And as they're walking off, you have Danielle. That's the one I was talking about, Danielle. She's coming out like, what happened? And then Marge's like, your husband is in the pool. And Smooth just walked off, and Danielle ain't do nothing. Oh, look, I'm telling you, Jersey is a hoot.
I'm gonna have to talk about Jersey. But
I'm sorry.
No, you're fine. But I don't know. I kind of feel like I don't know how I feel about this whole situation with Wendy Williams not going to her mama's funeral. She said, I don't want to expose you. She alluded to the fact that her brother was gay, because she said somebody, you like my new dress? My brother would like my dress. So like I feel like she threw some jabs, and at the end of it all, she found a way to plug the docu series that's coming out in next week. Like, and I kind of feel like is all of this for publicity to build up the, not that she needs it. I don't think Wendy needs it, but she's also, that's what she's always done. So I don't
Well,
know. Like, what do y'all think?
my opinion on okay, so first, I like my opinion I'm not saying it's different, but I feel a ways about it because I have a situation that somewhat ties to this. I'll get to it in a second. The first thing I'll say is her not going to the Fune. Are we forgetting that we are still in the middle of a pandemic? And Wendy does have, medical issues. So
It does
putting
have
yourself
a
in a
disease, yeah,
situation
condition.
like that isn't
I'm
smart
not
nor
judging her
healthy.
for not going at all, because my thing is, when it comes to grief, I try not to be judgmental of grief, because it just
Mhm.
manifests itself in so many different ways. So yeah.
But the reason that but I can connect to it because I'm gonna give y'all a little bit of me right quick. So I'm gonna speed through this as quickly as possible. So my father and I never had the best relationship growing up, despite the fact me trying to build this relationship with him because my parents divorced when I was 2, but we never really had the best of relationships. We even fell out for a good 2 years where I just didn't talk to him for a good 2 years. But he passed in 2016. I didn't even know how I would react to it. I got the phone call from my brother, and I'm still in the army, mind you, and I'm in the company, and something said, don't listen to what he just sent you. And I listened to it, broke the hell down in front of some people that I don't like to be vulnerable in front of. And I didn't come home immediately because not only was I mourning in North Carolina, I still had army stuff to take care of. So by the time I got to Chicago, I had already done my grieving. I didn't cry. There actually is a video of me kind of reliving stuff where you can still see me emotional about the shit. But I'd already cried. I'd already dealt with things. I had my revelations, all of that. So when the funeral happened, my 3 brothers have a better relationship with him than I do. So I'm like, okay, well, since I don't have the best relationship with him, I'll be the anchor. I'll be the one that's sitting here strong, and I'm gonna let them have their moment because for them, time didn't stop. They didn't have that time to really grieve. I did. And I find out through the grapevine that my eldest brother did not like that I wasn't mourning the way that he wanted me to mourn. And that sent me. And the thing is, I didn't hear from him. I heard from my other brother. And I told him, like, I'm glad you're telling me this the day after the funeral, because had you told me yesterday, I probably would be in jail right now because that's some very disrespectful stuff to sit here and say to somebody, because he didn't say it to me because he knew better, but to say to somebody else, he's not grieving the way that I want him to. Like, you should be worried about your grieving. You should be worried about your stability, your health, you should be worried about you and your emotions. Why are you so worried about what I'm doing over here when you should be worried about what you're doing over there? And rather than talk to me about it, you going around to other people talking about me. So I can kind of understand Wendy probably has a very legit reason, and rather than reach out to her and just try to understand it, your first thing is to get on social media and blast her.
Mm,
And why you're so upset with about her? How about you worry about you and let her grieve the way that she needs to grieve?
facts. And I feel the same way. And that's why, Wendy, I could take her or leave her. I'm not a Wendy fan, but I don't hate her either. But that's why I really ain't give it a whole lot yesterday, because I was like, I think people, I always say this because I love the ID channel. I love all of those TV shows on the ID channel. I love those types of shows. And I always said, God forbid something ever happened to somebody like that to me, I'm going to probably be their first suspect, because if you're waiting for me to break down and fall out on the floor crying and acting a fool, that's just not my personality. That's just not what I'm going to do. And whenever they always say, well, we suspected the wife because she just didn't act like someone that found out her husband was killed. And I'm like, well, then I guess I'm going to always be suspected, because that's just not how I respond to stuff. That's just not my first reaction. And that doesn't mean that I don't eventually get there and I don't eventually break down, but that's not my first response. And
Right.
so, you know, it's like, so I try not to judge other people, because I know that I probably don't always respond the way people think someone should respond in that situation. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And I mean, we didn't talk about it, but I'll bring it up right quick. Drew and Ralph. Like, I felt so bad for Ralph because you can see that boy was struggling but he's trying to keep this facade of that, most, well, African Americans in general, but African American men, where, we got to be strong, we can't cry. That's some women stuff and this and the third, and you got to be strong and macho. Because I feel bad for him, because you can see that he wants to grieve, but he just can't for whatever reason. And I said this on my review, and I hope it doesn't come true. But what's going to happen is, because he is suppressing it, everybody has a moment where you finally let the reality sink in, whether you do it on the front end or the back end. The front end is typically the best time to do it, because what's probably going to happen is he probably will be in a public place. And when that weight finally hits him, because you can't control when that situation just hits you like a ton of bricks, it's going to be devastating for the young man.
Yeah, and again, that doesn't mean that people don't react eventually, but that's just not my first. You know what I mean? My first reaction isn't the fall out and cry and all of that. That's just usually not my first reaction. And so that's why I didn't even really give Wendy a lot on this one, because I think everybody's grieving. I think everybody's in pain. And no, I don't agree with her brother going to social media. However, maybe he feels like that's the only way he can get her attention. I don't know. Frida, I hear what you're saying, babes. I don't know if I necessarily agree with the fact that just because she was having lunch with her ex-husband, means that she wants him back. I think it's very easy for people to look on the outside in and make not you, Frida, I'm saying in general, make judgments. But they were married for a long time. Not only were they husband and wife, but they were business partners, and they shared a lot. And maybe in her time of grief, she reached out to him. That doesn't mean she want him back. I mean, they might have even had a good old roll in the hay for old time's sake. But that doesn't mean that they're going to get back together. It just means that she was grieving in that moment, and maybe he's the only person in that moment that she felt like she could talk to or understood her, or she could express some things to, and it wasn't going to be all over social media. Because clearly we know your brother can't keep his damn mouth shut. So, I mean, maybe there's a part of him, going back to what we were saying about Martin Luther King, he was a horrible husband, but maybe he's still a good friend. I don't know. I mean, but I don't think that means she wants him back. Personally, I mean, maybe she does, but I don't think that's what it means. But she may, I don't know, because she said that she knew the man was cheating on her basically almost their whole marriage. I mean, she said she was pregnant with her son, and he was cheating on her, which means that, I mean, the son is in his 20s now. That means the majority of y'all's marriage, you knew the man was a cheater. So clearly you were okay. I said it then and I said now, I don't think they finally got divorced because she found out. I think they finally got divorced because we found out.
Yep.
But
and I mean the reality is, like, he might be a horrible husband, but he might have been a good friend, a confidant to her. I mean, it's definitely something that can exist. You could suck in one area and excel in another, and the reality is, like, I can't speak for nobody else, but we're not finna sit here and act like grandma and grandpa was sleeping in separate rooms in the same house. I'm just, look, and I know, and if any of my family see this, they're gonna get mad. But hell, I know some people right now that's sleeping in separate rooms on separate floors than their current spouse.
Okay.
But they still together. So look, they some old school fools and stuff, and they whole thing is they probably just like, you know what? Since we saw, Nemo and Paw do it, I guess we gonna do it too. You just don't embarrass me. You can go ahead and do your little thug dizzle over there. Just don't let it come back here. And I don't know who Wendy pissed off at the Daily Mail, but they said, "Oh, okay, we finna air you out right quick." And what was it? A 1 year expose? I was like, goodness, who did you piss off? Did they stalk you for a whole year? You and your husband. Who did you piss off?
It's Wendy. She pissed them all off. Okay, it's Wendy. She pissed them all off. All right, last but not least, we're gonna get out of here, you guys. Y'all done have me on here almost an hour and a half running my mouth. Last but not least, and I don't even have a whole lot to add to this, because at this point it's just starting to be a little redundant. More and more information is coming out about the insurrection that happened last week. We know that the inauguration is going on. More and more people who were arrested are speaking up and saying, hey, I was only doing what my president told me to do, which doesn't help his impeachment case at all, because all of them are like, we did it because he said do it.
Well, I mean, look, everybody's being petty in this moment because he said what he said to rile people up, And after they did what they did, he pretty much threw them under the bus. So I guess their whole thing is, okay, well, since you want to sit here and throw us to the sharks, we finna sit here and push you in the water too.
And let's be clear, he had to. Like, he didn't want to, but he had to. But I agree. I agree with you 100%. The But what we are starting to find out though, we are starting to see some of the dots being connected. Remember, I told y'all last week when they start peeling back those onions and they start looking at paperwork and they start connecting dots. And so today they are looking at those permits. Today they were looking at, they were talking about the permits of who applied, whose name was on the paperwork, and what they found out was a lot of the people whose names was on those permits for that thing last week that went down worked for the Trump campaign. Now remember, Trump and them people came out and said, ain't nobody that had anything to do with that work for us. And if they did, they used to work for us, but they don't work for us no more. We'll come to find out they still were very much employed by the Trump campaign. Some getting payments as recently as the beginning of the year. So yeah. So they're starting to connect some of those dots to some of these people and what went down and who said what. And so again, it's not boding well. His trial will start in the Senate. I really don't know what's gonna happen because I mean the man is gone on Wednesday. So even if the trial starts tomorrow, I can't see it being over tomorrow. So I don't know. Yeah. But it'll be interesting to see how it goes down. Now, they said that he is still trying to figure out a way to give himself blanket immunity and his churn. I just don't think legally he can, but I mean, he's done a whole lot of illegal shit, so who knows? But I just don't think that there's a way that he can just give himself an immunity for something he ain't been charged with yet. I just don't know. And he can't give himself immunity for impeachment. You can't get yourself immunity from an impeachment. So the impeachment has happened. That's what Mr. Fit Brown dude. He's already been impeached. We're talking about the trial now. He's already been impeached.
I mean, I don't give him much. I really don't, but I'll give him this. At least he's persevering. I'm just being he's the definition of I'm not going down without a fight. I don't give him much. I would at least give him that. That's just me.
Oh, thank you, Lauren. That's the other thing. They are actually also admitting that they realize that they have people within the ranks of the National Guards, the Capitol Police. They have proof, because if they say it publicly, they mean they got the proof that these people, that there was an inside job and that there were people who are sympathizers and who helped the process, which we already knew, but the onion is being peeled back. The onion is being peeled back and people are being exposed.
I mean, right? Look. Now this right here is coming from a veteran, y'all. If y'all really think that we don't have, neo-Nazis and all these other people in the military, y'all a plump fool. I'll be hard pressed to find it, but I know there was an article that somebody had sent, that was shared on Facebook, where you had a child of someone in the armed services trying to get into one of these hate groups, sending information that he, was on this installation X, Y, and Z. And luckily for him, because he was, doing this stuff on a military installation, they was able to, intercede, finding information, and it wasn't a good look for that young man. For that young man.
Yeah, I saw a documentary. This was years ago, and it was about basically gangs in the military. So of course, they talked about Crips and Bloods, but they also talked about Nazis. No, but I'm saying, but they also talked about neo-Nazis and some of these white supremacist groups. So it was a whole document. I don't remember what channel it was on. It was years ago. This was probably about 5 or 7 years ago, but I remember seeing it. So impeachment is done by the House. The House gives the articles of impeachment to the Senate. So yeah, that's what I'm saying. He's already been impeached. So yeah, that's happened. Yeah. So All right, y'all. We can get off of here. It's been an hour and a half. It's after 8. I'm gonna try to get some videos out to y'all today. 90 Day Fiance will be up because I've already recorded it, so I will upload that. I can't tell you what else y'all gonna see tonight, but I know 90 Day Fiance is done, so y'all gonna see that one. But I'm gonna try to get a couple of more videos out. I was gonna watch Bridgerton last night. Blame Abby. So that's all I'm gonna say about that.
She gonna get you.
She is. She gonna get me. She'll be all right. But yeah, so yeah, that's what I have. I have so I may watch Bridgerton tonight. So we'll see what else I get up tonight. But I know 90 Day Fiance will be going up. So all right, you guys. And I have to watch A Night in Miami too. So you know what? That's what I'm about to watch right now. All right, I will talk to y'all later. Peace. Thank you, y'all, for coming through. Why are you laughing so hard?
I laugh. That's what I do. I'm a happy person. I laugh